Hey YouTube, what is up? With the Dark Illusions sneak peek literally this Saturday, I figured I'd make a top 10 list of the top 10 cards I'm looking forward to the most in the Dark Illusion. If you have different cards than the ones I say, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, let's get this started. My number 10 spot goes to Block Dragon, just because it looks like Toy Agumon from Digimon if you ever played the game or watched the show. This is also in the Digimon Story Cyber Sleuths game. It just literally looks exactly like Toy Agumon, and it actually has a little bit of relevance in the Subterror deck. It's an Earth Rock effect monster that is level 8, 2500 attack, 3000 defense, and its effect is cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 Earth monsters from your hand or graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Rock type monsters you control cannot be destroyed except by battle. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add up to 3 rock type monsters from your deck to your hand whose total levels equal 8. You can only use this effect of Block Dragon once per turn. It can basically stop Cosmos because it can't be targeted by Dark Destroyer, and if you special summon this in defense position, Dark Destroyer can't swing over it. Obviously you'd force a Cosmojo with this card, but the fact that you can basically stall Cosmos until you get the cards you need to out them is pretty decent as long as they don't have a Cosmojo. I really like the fact that it looks like Toy Agumon, and that's honestly why I give my number 10 spot. My number 9 spot goes to the Forceful Checkpoint because this card has a lot of utility in spirals. Its effect is when an opponent's monster declares an attack, look at your opponent's hand. If there's a monster card, negate the attack, then discard 1 card from their hand, your choice. The reason I say this has a lot of use in Spiral is because Spiral is a deck where you definitely main deck Mind Crushes. You look at the top card of your opponent's deck anyway, and then this card lets you basically negate an attack, look at their hand, and then make them discard a monster. That's pretty broken. You use this card, and then after you resolve this card, use Mind Crush because you know every card in their hand, and then make them cry. Or you can basically use Spiral to know when to make this card live, because if your opponent doesn't have cards in hand, and Spiral allows you to look at the top card of your opponent's deck, you look at the top card of their deck. If it's a spell or trap, you don't use this card yet. You just sit and wait, so you don't burn this card. It actually has a little bit of utility in Spiral, and I'm pretty excited to see how this card's going to be used, because it definitely has some use in Spiral, among many other decks as well. My number 8 spot goes to Pot of Desires. I really am looking forward to this card, although I'm not sure how much utility it has in decks that don't run 3 of every combo piece. Its effect is banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down, draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Pot of Desires per turn. This is going to be basically used in DDDs when we get it. This is going to basically be used in Blue Eyes because they have a lot of combo pieces and don't care if they banish a lot of them. There's a really low percentage that you're going to banish 3 of every card from your deck anyway, so it's not that bad. It's basically, if you're going to OTK, you can use this card to get a little more hand advantage before you push for game. That's all it really does. I hope I pull this from my 3 Dark Illusions booster boxes because that card is probably going to be about $80, so I hope I pull playsets, but it's not the best card for every deck, and that's why I gave it my number 8 spot. My number 7 spot goes to Spiral Super Agent. I'm excited for the Spiral archetype, but I'm not sure of their potential yet. I don't know if Subterror is going to be better than them. I don't know if they're going to be better than Subterror, but it does definitely have some potential with the fact that you get to look at your opponent's top cards of their deck, the fact that this card special summons based off that. It has some plays with Mind Crush, it has some plays with the Forceful Checkpoint. I'm excited to see where people can take this deck. I really don't know if until the next set we're going to be able to see which of the 2 TCG exclusives is better, this or Subterror. It's a level 4 warrior effect Earth monster with 1900 attack and 1200 defense. Its effect is if this card is in your hand, you can declare 1 card type monster spell trap, reveal the top card of your opponent's deck, and special summon this card if it is a card of that type. If this card is special summoned by the effects of a Spiral card, which includes itself, you get to target 1 spell trap your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Spiral Super Agent once per turn. So it allows you to basically look at the top card of your opponent's deck, guess it right, although there are other Spiral cards that look at the top of their decks as well, so you can basically get this guess right 100% of the time. It's a good card, the archetype definitely has potential, and I'm excited to see where people could take it, and that's why I gave it my number 7 spot. My number 6 spot goes to Floodgate Trap Hole because this card is amazing. It's literally drowning Mirror Force on summon, and it even counts for pendulum summons. Its effect is when your opponent special summons a monster, parentheses S, so monsters, change that monster or monsters to face down defense position. Monsters changed to face down defense position by this effect cannot change their battle positions. If you put 2 of these in your deck and 2 Quaking Mirror Forces in your deck, I can guarantee anybody you will play will be literally made of salt by the end of the duel. The fact that you're just literally flipping all their cards face down. It's ridiculous, and I think I might even run this in my Subterror deck because I flip my monsters face down with my own card effects, I'll flip your cards face down with my card effects, nobody wins, and I just flip my rocks all day long because that's literally what that deck's about. My number 5 spot goes to DD Savant Thomas. It's a pretty decent card in the DDD deck. We're not getting that, unfortunately, until February. We were supposed to get it by this point already, and that kind of sucks that it got pushed back so far. I guess we are getting ABCs in its stead, so that's not too shabby. I really like this card because it's literally an instant rank 8 play if you bring this card out. It's a level 8 dark Fiend Pendulum Effect monster with a scale of 6 and 1800 attack and 2600 defense. Its pendulum effect is during your main phase, you can add one face of DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of DD Savant Thomas once per turn. Its monster effect is you can target one DD card in your pendulum zone, destroy that card, and if you do, special summon one level 8 DDD monster from your deck in defense position, but for the rest of the turn, its effects, if any, are negated, and any battle damage your opponent takes becomes halved. You can only use this effect of DD Savant Thomas once per turn. This card is literally an instant rank A play, like I said before. It allows you to go straight into Hope Harbinger, Titanic Galaxy, and then next turn basically destroy your opponent with all the other DD cards you have in the field. It basically protects you from getting Raideki'd. You also have cards like King Siegfried, which can prevent spells and stuff like that from activating as well. I just wish we got DDs a little sooner. That's why I gave it my number 5 spot. This card is literally the representation of my hype for DDDs, and even though we're not getting it for a while, I decided that number 5 was still a pretty decent spot for this card. My number 4 spot goes to Cosmic Cyclone. It's a quick play spell card with the effect of pay 1000 life points, then target one spell trap on the field, banish it. This is an easy way to get rid of Cosmo Town. This is an easy way to get rid of a face of Prime Monarch. I hope I can get this card into my deck before the ban list happens, before Cosmo gets destroyed, before Monarchs get destroyed. It'd be a fun card to use, especially when you banish Cosmo Town. Basically, there was no out to Cosmo Town for a really long time, and this is probably the best out we can get, so I'm excited to play 2 of them in my side deck in case I go up against Cosmo. My number 3 spot goes to the Hidden City. It is the field spell for Subterrors. I feel like Spiral Super Agent represented all of the Spiral archetype, and I feel like this card represents Subterrors. It's a pretty good card. I hope that Subterrors and Spiral both get to be great TCG exclusives, but usually one is better than the other. The reason I put the Hidden City farther up than Spiral Super Agent is because this set does have higher rarities. This is a secret rare, Subterra Stalagmo is an ultra rare, and Umastrix is an ultra rare as well. Usually when sets are a higher rarity than another, like Kaiju's being only rare or UA's being rare and BA's getting secrets, it's usually a sign that this is the better of the 2 exclusives. It's a field spell card with the effect of when this card is activated, add one Subterra monster from your deck to your hand. It's basically a Rhoda, and then once per turn you can change one face down defense position Subterra monster you control to face up attack or defense position. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change one face down defense position Subterra monster you control to face up attack or defense position, then negate the attack. You can only activate the Hidden City once per turn. So basically you get to add a Subterra to hand, you basically get to negate an attack. You can see the plays that I was talking about before with cards like Floodgate Trap Hole and cards like Quaking and Drowning Mirror Force. Basically just stall your opponent until they have no cards left, and then you just attack. You can even flip your cards to activate their effects, which is really, really good. You even get to flip your cards on your opponent's turn to activate their effect, and Umastrix allows you to banish, so that's actually pretty decent. The Subterra archetype has a lot more support in other cards that are not within its archetype, and that's why I am putting this card a little higher than I put Spiral. You can use cards from the Prediction Princess archetype in this deck, and it seems to work fairly well. Prediction Princesses, if you don't know, are cards that also flip cards up and down, so you basically get to flip 2 cards per turn with the Hidden City and with Prediction Princess Tarot Tray. You can also use cards like Petalif, which basically, if it's flipped, change all your opponent's monsters to face up defense position, and then they can't change the battle positions. Basically, this deck just screws with your opponent's monsters, puts them in face down or face up defense position, and then you flip your monsters and just get rid of every card they have. That's why I'm excited for this deck, and that's why I gave this card my number 3 spot. My number 2 spot goes to Metal Foes, because Metal Foes, unlike the TCG exclusives, are not a if, it is a when. These are really, really good cards. I feel like this card epitomizes the archetype in general. It is a really great card. Metal Foes are a great vanilla splashable pendulum deck, which is something that I think we needed, and I think this is what pendulum should be. Vanilla and able to be put into other archetypes to help them as well. Basically, if you see this deck splashed in with Yang Zings or Magispectors, you can see how broken it can be. The Metal Foes Fusion card's effect is Fusion Summon one Metal Foes Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. If this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle it into the deck, then draw one. You can only use this effect of Metal Foes Fusion once per turn. You can literally Fusion Summon, put this card in deck, then draw one, then use your Pendulum Scales effect to search it out again and fuse again. This once per turn effect is only for the putting it back to deck and drawing one. So this card allows you to get 2 fusions out in one turn. If you splash this in with cards like Yang Zings, if you splash this in with Magispector, you get broken plays. And that's why I love this deck. It works in so many different archetypes that it's actually probably the best pendulum support we've gotten so far, and that's why I've given it my number 2 spot. If you know me, it is no surprise that my number 1 spot goes to Dark Magical Circle. It is a continuous spell card that is basically the heart and soul of the Dark Magician deck, besides the Eternal Soul card that we still have yet to get. With both of those cards, this deck would definitely be full power, but until then, all we have is Dark Magical Circle, and that's why I gave it my number 1 spot. Dark Magical Circle is a secret rare. It is a continuous spell card with the effect of, when this card is activated, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then you can reveal 1 Dark Magician or 1 spell or trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician among them, and add it to your hand. Also place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. If Dark Magician is normal, it's special summon to your field, except during the damage step, target 1 card your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use each effect of Dark Magical Circle once per turn. So basically, you get to add a Dark Magician related card or Dark Magician to hand, then stack your deck, and then every time you special Dark Magician on your turn or your opponent, you get to banish a card. It's really good in the Dark Magician deck. It's just a shame that Dark Magicians aren't better, because if we have more than 1 card like this in the Dark Magician deck, the deck would actually be pretty busted. And the reason I pretty much gave this my number 1 spot is because it is probably the most broken of the Dark Magician support we've ever gotten, and I think it epitomizes the Dark Magician archetype in general. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have cards that you did not see in my top 10 that you think should be in the top 10, don't forget to let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @Schwab so you can see when I post these videos, or like my Facebook page, the link's in the description below. And don't forget to click subscribe so you can see when I post these videos. I'm going to be putting a video up from Sneak Peek, and I'm going to be opening my 3 Dark Illusions boxes. So if you want to see that, don't forget to click subscribe, because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.